Hello, Stephanie Toman here with a video on the data tables feature in Excel. Demonstrations in 2016, but you can also use 2019 if you've got that version, or Office 365 to use the materials that go along with this if you wish. So it's to do with the syllabus for the ICL Advanced Spreadsheet Software qualification, but it is there for anyone that really needs to use it or wants to have a look at it and see what it does. So this feature, the data table feature, can show how one or two variables, when they change, how a formula is affected by that change. So, for example, it's got on here how to do the repayments or loan change with different interest rates. What happens to those repayments? Do they go up? Obviously, interest rates go up, they will. Or come down. By how much with regard to percentage rate at the going time. And then you've got another example of two input data tables, all in the what if analysis on the data table. Be aware in the exam that a lot of the features are in the data tab, so you'd be surprised how often if you go there you can find just about most of the stuff it'll be asking you about, but obviously not everything. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much.
We're going to have a quick look now at data tables. So data tables, part of the charts area. I'm going to open that one up from our lecture materials. And we're going to look at this. So what I've done is a number of examples. I'm going to go through them all. So one input data table is used to see how a variable changes. And this is a good example for repayments on a loan or a mortgage, if you like. So as interest changes, the amount payable changes automatically. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to change this so that we have a series of it going up at 0.25%. So if we go highlight the data range, go into the fill drop down here and series. As it's got here, the step values are going to be 0.0025 for a quarter. Okay. And now that's going up in a 0.25% all the way through. The rule for a data table is you must have a formula or a function in it in order for it to work. And you can see that we do have one in here in the corner. So when you highlight a one input data table, you must highlight everything including that function or formula. And it does mean that you get a blank here, but that's quite normal. So in order to use the feature, we go to Data tab, which as you know has a lot of the features in it, What If Analysis and Data Table. So we want to find out what happens when this interest rate, if you like, changes. What's the amount we have to pay back if that changes on a loan amount of £50,000? So when you see the row input cell and the column input cell, what you've got to think about in the exam and in life is what are we filling in? And we're filling in a column input. So we're going down the column. So I'm going to click in there and I know that I'm looking at interest rates. So that's the one I'll click on, the E4, to show that that's what I'm going to be checking. So it goes in automatically, I OK, and you can see how quickly that happens. And if we look at the 8% here, and I highlight it in yellow, you can see it's exactly the same as that there, so 8%. If we changed, the interest rate changed automatically, so if it went down, you can see how much less we're paying as the interest rate goes down. So it's a really quick way. If you try to undo in the exam, it'll undo my colours, but it won't undo the actual data table. Because if we do Control, remember grave accent key, shortcut key for back end, formula view. Above the tab, tap that key and you can see why you can't undo. And then back into values again. So in the exam, if you don't quite get this right, if you went into the row input instead of the column input area, you just delete that and do it again. Okay, that's all you need to do. If we look at the two table input, this input data table shows that we have, as we did before, we've got the, if we look at the first one, the 1, we did it with the 360 terms. Look at 2, there's our 360 there. We go down to our 8%. There it is, that's the value we got before. But this 2 input table is a bit more complicated than that. So we're going to be inputting the row and the column. So if we take out the previous data, that we've already done, delete it. Remember, we have to have a function or formula in the data table, whether it's a 1 or a 2, and it needs to be included. So once again, undo that, highlight it, highlight the area. Okay, this is what we're going to fill in with our data table details. So we're into the Data tab, What If Analysis tab, Data Table. Now remember, last time we did the column input, so we could do that again. We know that the column input is the interest rate, because that's what we're going to find out going down these terms. Length, time we're paying it. So that means the row going across is the terms in months. So that's the one we're going to put into our row input cell. When we OK, it automatically completes it, and it already shows the one we had previously. So let's try that one more time. Let's delete it. Oops. Escape. Pick it up again. Get locked in a cell. Always use escape. That's done it. So we're highlighting the whole thing, not just the area with the data table info. Remember your data tab, What If Analysis, Data Tables. The row input is going to be the terms, payments, number of payments, and the column input is going to be the going down, the interest rates. And there you go. So there's a couple of extra bits on here just to help to remind you when you're doing revision, and I put them in here and pop that print shot of the dialog box there. The one I want to look at once you've had a little go yourselves with practice, etc., is this one right at the end of the sheet. It's called Try This. This is quite typical of an exam question in that, if you see, I know I've highlighted C11 in green, but that won't be happening in the exam. But it's just for demo purposes and for learning. Our formula or function is in there. It's not within the data input sheet. So this one input data table needs to have that there so we can include it. So in order to bring it there, instead of copying and pasting, which doesn't like, we're going to link it. So use an equal sign, click on the cell where the functional formula is, enter it in, and it now appears there. And then what you can do is you go on to do what you would normally do, which is using your data tab in there into your data table. Your one input data table is going to be interest rates, okay, and it works. If you do it without that there, it will not work. Okay, so remember that in the exam, that they may have it outside of the cell range whereby you're using the one input data table feature, and it won't work unless you bring it in, and bring it in using a linking the cell rather than copy and paste. Okay, so that's the data tables. I'm just going to not save those, and what I'm going to do now is going to finish this one, and we're going to be moving on in the next series onto the macros.